What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and baby, let's get into the drama of it all because we got a few things to talk about. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So let's talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta and Real Housewives of Miami first, because it looks like those two shows are coming back, and I'm super excited, more so for Miami than Atlanta, but I'm gonna give Atlanta a chance. So it looks like for Real Housewives of Miami, they have begun filming their confessionals, and Marisol, this one confessional, she looked like a rich lady going to her husband's funeral, and I live for it, girl. We see her filming her confessional, and we also see Gertie filming her confessional. Now, I'm going to play the video of Gertie, but I'm going to have to cut the sound out because after a while, after she stopped talking, they started to play Kendrick Lamar and SZA's 30 for 30 song, and I ain't got time to get copywritten.
Just eh. Secret 101, we got lots of painting going on up in there. We gotta fill in the patches, color in between the lines, darling.
I'm excited. They both look really good. Gertie looks good in this video. Marisol looks good in that picture. Like, I'm just so ready for Miami to come back, mainly because Miami has been delivering ever since their reboot. Like, this was a reboot done well, and whoever they got to cast this cast, they definitely need to use their strategy or their rules or however they figured out how to make this cast for their other shows that they're planning on rebooting, because this group works very well together. Miami and Salt Lake City, they really found their, what's the word? Their synergy. Like, the dynamic of the group just works. And I think even with Dr. Nicole not being there, this still is going to be an enjoyable season with the added people. Okay, so let's move over to Atlanta. So, like I said, I'm more excited for Real Housewives of Miami than Atlanta, mainly because Miami delivers. And based off the trailers that I've seen for Real Housewives of Atlanta Sweet 16, it's not giving a housewife show. It's giving like Love and Hip Hop and Basketball Wives. Now, if I wanted to watch those shows, I would just go to VH1. But I'm watching Bravo because I want to see a Bravo show. And this is just kind of giving like R&B divas, wags to riches type vibes when I see the trailer. And I'm just like, I don't know, y'all. But I'm going to try my best to be open minded, because it's still crazy to me that we haven't had Atlanta for 2 years. Like, the last episode premiered in 2023. And I'm going to try my best to be open minded. Now, let's get into this connection chart, because I was surprised by people's responses to it. And two things that stood out that I saw a lot of people commenting about it was the way that Shamia was connected to virtually everybody in this cast, and the lack of Kenya. And I feel like at this point, y'all, we have to understand that Kenya is not a friend of this show. She's going to be featured as a guest. And even if you agree or disagree with her actions, clearly the network is punishing her, even though they put her in the trailer 3 times more. She was in that trailer 2 times more than Phaedra, but Phaedra is considered a full-time housewife and got a promotion photo. Cynthia was only featured like maybe once or twice, and she got a photo as well. And now they have this connection chart, and she's not featured in it. The lady's a guest, y'all, and it is what it is at this point. I know Team Twirl is upset. I'm not a part of Team Twirl, but I've grown to like Kenya over the years, and it does suck that she's not going to be in this show, because I don't feel like Portia can anchor this show. She not that girl. I know a lot of y'all think she that girl, but she not that girl, especially when it comes to this room. So I am interested to see how she does this on her own, but we'll see. But let's talk about this connection chart. So, like I said, a lot of people were surprised that Shamia was connected to everybody. I was too. So, let's start off with her. So, it says Shamia's in the middle. We know that she's best friends with Portia. Portia's longtime friends with Phaedra. Phaedra's longtime friends with Cynthia. And then Cynthia and Portia are longtime friends. And then Cynthia and Shamia are longtime friends. Going back to Shamia, it looks like Shamia and Drew are former movie co stars. And Drew is friends and business associates with Portia, but she's also friends with one of the new ladies, Angela Oakley, who is an acquaintance of Shamia. And going back to Shamia, it looks like Shamia is friends with both Britt and Kelly and Britt seem to be close friends. Now, what's interesting about this chart is that Kelly and Britt are supposed to be close friends, but if you listen to recent interviews, I know the one that I saw like a week or two ago from Kelly, it seems like Kelly and Britt are not in a good place anymore. And I find that interesting because when little tidbits of information was leaking out, it seemed like Kelly and Britt were like really tight. Like they came into this group already having a friendship, and it seems like they have fallen out because Kelly is singing Portia's praises, and it looks like Portia and Britt gonna be getting into it. So I'm interested to see how the fallout happened between them, because it seemed like everybody was riding for Britt, and now it seems like she's on an island by herself because people aren't really talking about her when they do interviews. They're talking about everybody around her but her. But drop down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts about this connection chart about Kenya. And let's move over to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So, like I said, let's move over to Beverly Hills. It looks like they filmed the reunion yesterday. So Andy did his ceremonial picture of him holding the cue cards, and it says Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And this was posted by OMFG Reality TV. It says hashtag RHOBH season 14 ladies and Andy are filming the reunion today. Then they also posted another picture of Andy where he posted this in his story talking about still going 9 hours later. And then Andy posted his last picture that said, that's a wrap. He timed it where it was 8:41 p.m. And he says, I give it 5 diamonds, something for everyone. So it looks like the reunion is going to be pretty good. I would hope so. You know, Andy hyped up Potomac, and Potomac's actually been enjoyable to watch. I've been getting giggly and laughing the whole entire time throughout it. So I'm hoping this reunion for Beverly Hills would be good as well. I was kind of surprised that they were filming the reunion only because I was like, are we almost done? But then I realized that the latest episode of this week that premiered on Tuesday was the 13th episode. And I was like, well, yeah, we probably only have maybe 7 or 6 more episodes until this season is like completely over, including like the reunion parts. What's interesting is they also dropped the seating chart. So, you know, Andy's in the middle. On the right hand side, you have Dorit, Bose, Erica, and Kathy. On the left hand side, you have Kyle, Sutton, Garcelle, and Jennifer Tilly. Honestly, I feel like Sutton and Kyle should be switched, because Sutton and Dorit have been getting into it since the beginning of the season when they had that whole situation at Oceanside, which I think that was like episode 2 or 3. No, I think it was episode 3. And here we are now, and they're still arguing back and forth. Kyle and Dorit somehow were able to come to some type of understanding throughout the season. And unless we're going to see them fight again, I just feel like Sutton should be in Kyle's position, to be honest. But for the most part, I agree with this chart. I do wonder if there's going to be any type of resolution between Sutton and Dorit and Kyle and Dorit. I wonder if they're going to talk about people's misgivings about Bose and Dorit's relationship, or Sutton and Garcelle's relationship. I wonder if they're going to address, you know, Dorit not following Jennifer Tilly, even though it doesn't seem like she care about that. And I don't understand why Kathy is there. I mean, I get Jennifer Tilly being there because she at least has been participating in almost like every group event. You know, the only time we didn't see Jennifer was at the 4th of July, but I think every group event she's been at. She was at the Surrealist party, Kyle's like Western and Diamonds party. I think she also was at what else was she at? She went on the Cash trip and everything. But like, what has Kathy really been doing? But yeah, I'm looking forward to the reunion for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So let me know down below how y'all feel about the seating chart. Do y'all agree that Dorit and Kyle should be first chair? I get why Dorit is first chair, but I feel like Sutton should be in Kyle's position. Or do you understand why Kyle is first chair? Because I feel like it's just because she's this last standing OG, but that's just me. All right, y'all. So let's move over to Married to Medicine. So there is a clip that is resurfaced from that YouTube live that Dr. Heavenly did that got her in trouble about her comments about gay men. This one is about Sweet Tea and Quad, and it says this. It says, Dr. Heavenly says she will correct bringing Quad's ex on the show. If I bring you in, I can take you out. Also, Sweet Tea has hit and pushed several people, but they don't show it. So I want to play the clip for you guys, and then I'll share my thoughts.
I did bring Sweet Tea, but I wasn't the only one. We all did that, so I would eat that, right? And that's why I'm so Team Quad this season. If you watch the show and continue to watch it, I'm still indebted to Quad because I did. But I am going to correct it, and y'all watch and see. Mark my words. If I bring you in, I can take you out. That's all I'm gonna say about it. So mark my words. I messed up, and she's right. Nobody would want their ex on there. I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. You know what I mean? You don't think things through. But after we seen two people with it, I wouldn't want that. I apologize. I apologize again and again. You know what I'm saying? Sweet Tea is a sweet girl. She really just is. She really is. She's just in a bad situation where she cannot control her emotions. She's hit several people, pushed several people. They've not shown it. And we just can't tolerate it if you cannot keep your composure. And I know it ain't easy. For example, she's new to this. She's much younger than us. We're way more versed than her. More educated, more everything. So of course she's intimidated. Of course she feels insecure, if you will. So I understand it. However, if you're going to be in this room, you can't put your hands on people. You cannot put your all the stuff that happened with me and Contessa. She never once touched me. She never once touched me. That little girl, she's touched people. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So you got to have self-control. You just really do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can curse people out. You can talk because that's allowed. And I think a lot of times when you're talking, you may say the wrong thing, but you can't touch me.
So here's my thing. I will admit that I didn't see an issue with Weenie Hut Jr. and Goofy Goober, aka Letitia and Gregory, being a part of this show last season. I was like, okay, this is weird and it's awkward that he's a part of the show. But if he's been friends with these men, he's finally married. Like, of course, he would be on Married to Medicine. Like, Quad seems to be somewhat okay with it because she asking Letitia, can I hug your husband? She's congratulating them on their engagement. But I think the issue is Quad was trying to take the high road and it backfired on her. I feel like if she would have shown more resistance to them being a part of the show or really like being angry with production, then maybe something would have changed. But I also feel like last season production was trying to stick it to Quad because her her behind the scenes behavior became too much. Because I don't think they would have gone out their way to do something like this unless they were trying to reprimand her. But now seeing the clips of the issues between Quad and Gregory resurface about what Gregory did to Quad and what Quad did to Gregory, this definitely was a misstep on the ladies' part and production. Because why did we bring this back? Because now this is like a toxic work environment, low key. On top of that, Heavenly saying that she could take somebody out the group even though she brought them in, I think that's Heavenly's ego and it's too big because you can't do that. Even though the ladies pitched Sweet Tea to be a part of the show, ultimately production had the final say to say, yes, we want them to be a part of this show. So I get people saying like Quad should be pissed off with production. No, pissed off with the ladies, but I feel like she should be more pissed off with production because even if the ladies were pitching this lady to be around with her husband, production ultimately gave her the paperwork to fill out and give her a contract to get paid to be on this show with you. That's just what it is. That's honestly what it is. And granted, the ladies could have been like, well, we're not going to film with her. And they could have been like, well, we'll scrap this whole cast and move on. So, I mean, most people aren't going to just give up a check off of one coworker, especially at the time when they didn't even see Quad as a friend, or they were tired of her behavior and didn't want to be friends with her anymore. Now, when it comes to Sweet Tea and, putting her hands on people, I've been seeing that online. Like, y'all know, the little blog pages have been mentioning that Sweet Tea do got a problem with keeping her hands to herself. And honestly, after what happened with Portia Family Matters, and we saw that Portia was getting a good edit on RHOA, and then she got her own show, and it exposed how Portia can be another side of her. I can believe that, especially with the way this season they were chopping and screwing fights. Like, the fight that happened at the rodeo was chopped and screwed weirdly. And then we find out from Heavenly and Sweet Tea that there was more to that situation that happened. On top of that, I feel like there was more that happened at the vibe check, not the vibe check situation, where we find out from Sweet Tea and Heavenly, like, they were arguing real tough to the point where Cecil had to get in between people. And then at the Whitnick party, I feel like something else happened there too, because when Heavenly said, get this bitch up off me, it felt out of place. But now it feels like, girl, was she trying to get in your face? What happened? And I wonder if that is true. Are they going to address that she does have a hands problem? Like, she put her hands on people, and that's low-key why everyone's kind of moving away from her. Because it seems kind of crazy that Toya, who was seemingly like riding for her, is now kind of like backing away from her. And we know Toya and Quad got an up and down relationship. So I don't really think Toya is doing this because she has an allegiance to Quad. I wonder if it is because of what Heavenly is saying, or are we going to see more things happen where Sweet Tea ends up ostracizing herself? So moving on, let's talk about Miss Quad. So Quad was doing an interview with Virtual Reality Tea, and she was asked several questions, and some people were a little annoyed with her responses to the questions. So the first one was, Quad believes Dr. Contessa is straddling the fence in the situation with Dr. Gregory and King. So let me play that clip for you guys.
You know what? Then I got somebody else I just thought about with that last one. What? Contessa did a little something. Okay, with this whole thing with King and Gregory and all of that. And so one moment she's like, no, she doesn't think that the Lunsford should be around and this and that and the other. And Gregory overreacted when he was, quote unquote, pressing charges, which were never a charge. On King, and then I see in the next episode she kind of flipped and was like, well, don't you think they all could be in the same space at the same time? I mean, we all are adults. I mean, no one wants to see their ex in their face. We have done a consensus, and none of those girls, if they got divorced, they're like, listen, don't bring another ex around. But for me, that's okay. And you're trying to say that I should be an adult and we're all adults and I should be more mature?
Wait, that is really interesting because I talked to Contessa last week, and she, when I talked to her about it, I was like, it can't be easy for you to be in this situation. She's like, I couldn't imagine. I would never want to do that, but now she's also telling you to do it.
So, yeah, her and Heavenly had a conversation. I think we were doing a health fair for diabetes. Compliments of Contessa, good job, girl. And she was saying that, no, I think everyone could be together. And Heavenly was like, that is so irresponsible for you to say and to even think. No, he has now tried to press charges on King, and it's wrong. Yeah. And so kind of Contessa does a little bit of the, straddling the fence.
And it's hard to do that when you're being filmed on a reality show because you get to see.
Yeah, you're like, the facts are going to show. Yeah. Like, I don't know why people say, like, I never said that or I never done that. That's not true. We got the footage.
You're like, I have a Peacock subscription.
Right.
I can see it.
I can run it back on demand. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about here? So it's bananas to me. And then when you are caught in a lie, it's like you're a deer in the headlights. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Just stick to the facts.
Stick to the facts.
And what you feel, stand on what you feel. Yeah. What you believe in. Stand on that.
So I hope we get to see Contessa struggling to straddle the fence, because I want to see it. I want to see, like, what did she say, or what did she get caught up in a lie? Because my thing is, it's very easy to straddle the fence. Just be honest with both parties involved. I've done it before where I'm like, I like both of y'all and I feel like both of y'all are wrong in how y'all showed up in this situation, and it is what it is. Y'all need to apologize so we can move forward. But if she's doing the whole like Karen Huger where she don't hold neither parties accountable, or she's just like, I'm like, she doesn't want to take a side, but you can definitely tell that she took a side, then I get Quad's frustrations with her. But I am interested to see how this plays out. So the next clip that resurfaced from this that got a lot of people talking was Quad calling Simone a traitor. So she said this: Quad believes Dr. Simone is the biggest traitor on the show. She's someone who will do something to hurt you to the core and rock with you, a traitor. So let me play that for you.
Think on your show is the biggest traitor and why?
Oh, the biggest traitor. So the traitor will be a person, when I think of a traitor, that means someone who is probably kind of flip-floppish. One day they're here, then the next day they're for you, the next day they're against you. Unfortunately, I'll have to say Simone.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you feel that right now?
Yeah, I just rather not say because it's just going to take me to a dark place. We're doing very well right now. We're doing very well. Yes, we are.
Okay.
I like to keep it that way. We have been hanging out and things have been great and we talk on the phone and we do all of these things. And so I just would like to keep it there. But if I had to say someone who would do something to hurt you to the core and rock you in terms of betraying you, i.e. traitor, I would have to say her.
So I was surprised by this response because I thought her and Simone were in a good place. She says they're in a good place. They're talking every day. They're hanging out. But if I were her and I watched this and you called me a traitor, we would be back at square one. Like, I would just be like, all right, bet. Like, me and you not really friends. We're just acquaintances. And it is what it is. I'm surprised that she didn't say Contessa. Because I'm like, you're saying Contessa is a flip-flopper on this situation with Gregory and King, but it seems like the rest of the season, Simone is going to ride tough for you and King. So I'm just kind of surprised that she said her name. Now, mind you, y'all know, if you watch my Married to Medicine reviews, I let people know off rip, Simone and Cecil are my favorites. They remind me of my parents' friends. They seem like they would be a fun time to kick it with. But if this is how Quad feels about Simone, then that's her right to feel that way. I know a lot of people in the comments were like, well, Mariah said it too. I think the only reason why they feel like Simone is a traitor is because Simone will do production's bidding and is always going to keep a check with them. One thing I will give Cecil and Simone is that they have cemented themselves in this group that they can move effortlessly between different fractions. Nobody else, I feel like, has been able to do that in a way that Simone and Cecil have. But I feel like if you guys are in a good place, as Quad says, I think that you would have been better off saying Contessa than Simone. But maybe Simone don't care. Maybe Simone knows that that's how Quad views her and they're working back up to a better friendship. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. I also thought it was interesting that she didn't name Heavenly, who was so vocal about getting your ex on the show. That didn't hurt you to your core. But maybe Quad knows Heavenly for her works and probably didn't expect Simone to do her the way that she says she did her. So that's why she feels like Simone is a traitor, because she thought more of her. And maybe that's the same reason for Mariah, but I'm not sure. But let's continue on. So the next question that was posed to Quad in this interview was the lies. So basically, they were talking about Phaedra and her lying. So let me play that for you.
Recently said on Watch What Happens Live.
Yes.
That Phaedra needs to stop lying.
Okay.
What are the two biggest things you think she lies about?
Who in America don't know that Phaedra be lying? Now, you even know that, honey. You don't hang with her all the time. And you know that. We all know that. That was not shade. That was facts. Okay? So you can't be mad at that. We knew that she lied about how many months pregnant she was back on RHOA. We knew that. Okay, we can pull the facts. We can pull that. You guys, it's out there.
We can recite that. Yeah.
Yes, please. We also knew that she lied about not saying what she said in reference to the whole Candy and Portia thing. It came from her. She lied and said it came from Carlos King. Okay, so we know that. We know that. These are all facts. We can pull these things, okay? We also know that she lied about not knowing that Apollo was coming on the trip, on the couples trip. Okay. We see that there is a scene with her and Heavenly clearly asks her, and she's like, oh, we're in a good place, surprise me. So she's well aware. And it wasn't for a certain amount of time. I think she went from not knowing or not saying it's okay to saying she thought he was going to be there for 2 hours. Baby, just a lie on top of a lie. So that's what I mean.
Okay, and do you think she started to say she was lying about not knowing Apollo was coming because he came with +1? Or do you think she actually knew that he was coming?
No, she knew he was coming. She knew he was coming from the get-go. What she did not know was that he was coming with a +1. The lie came before the +1 did, okay? Just so you know.
The lie RSVP first.
Yes, exactly. The lie RSVP.
So Quad is singing the same tune as Heavenly. Basically, like, Phaedra knew that Apollo was coming. And that's why production keeps going to that flashback of when Heavenly calls Phaedra on the phone on FaceTime. Because Phaedra is trying to perpetuate this lie that she didn't know that man was coming. Because you notice, if you go back and watch the episode where she tells Jackie that she's disappointed in her, and Jackie is like, well, girl, I thought you already knew. Phaedra never says she didn't know. She just has this dumbfounded face on her, like, look on her face, like, oh. And then I don't think Phaedra was actually thinking that production was going to keep rolling it back, that she knew that man was coming. I think the only thing that Phaedra didn't know was that Shireen was coming. And I think Apollo found out that Shek and Phaedra were going to be on the trip together. And then he was like, okay, you want to play in my face with my friend. I'm about to play in your face with the lady I know you don't like that I cheated on you with, which is Shireen. Honestly, do I think it's okay that they invited Apollo? No, not really. But like I keep reiterating, Phaedra should have never brought Apollo to the reunion, because you opened that door up for production to contact him to film, because you made it seem like everything was okay with you and him. The same way with Quad. You tried to take the high road instead of just being honest about your feelings about this person, and everyone thinks y'all are okay, but y'all really are not. And then these type of things happen. So the last thing we're going to talk about as it pertains to Quad's interview is she was asked a question about how long does she think Dr. Gregory and Sweet Tea will stay together.
How long do you think Sweet Tea and Greg will be married for?
Oh, now that's not for me to speak on, although she did have a good time speaking on my man on her YouTube. And with that being said, I don't think long.
That's the sip and the spill.
That's what it is. I mean, but here's the thing. They will fight. They will go so hard to try to prove everyone wrong, even if they hate each other. So they could be living under the roof, hating each other, and still staying together because they don't want to prove everyone right.
It's almost like they have too much pride.
Yes. So they'll be led by pride. So with that being said, let me retract that. They may stay together.
So I agree with what Quad said. I feel like Sweet Tea, even if this relationship is not working for her or it's not the best relationship, she will stick it out because of everybody saying that they shouldn't be together. Like that one excerpt that I read in my Spicy Corner where she basically was saying that y'all don't know what a real relationship is. And if you don't like our relationship, you can kick rocks. She's going to try to ride or die for a man that's going to make her feel small, belittle her, and use up her prime years of her life. And that's going to be her fault. And I don't think it's wrong that Quad spoke on their relationship because, like she said, Sweet Tea was already throwing shots in that last interview or last YouTube video that she did with her and Gregory by calling King by his government name because she was like, the only king I know is the one that I'm sitting next to. So you opened up that gate for Quad to be able to speak about your relationship. And it is what it is. So let's move over to Real Housewives of Potomac. Now I'm a little frustrated because I did download the interview that Vivian did on the day of Karen's sentencing talking about Stacey and their whole beef and situation like that. And I'm frustrated because I thought Vivian had some good things to say, but I don't feel like going through that process all over again. So I'm just going to link the YouTube video in the description box below if you would like to check out the interview for yourself. And I'll just give you the cliff notes. Vivian pretty much said that nothing in that nothing that Stacey said at the reunion was true. it has zero facts, zero merit. She also expressed like, how can she say she elevated me when I've been dressing people and designing dresses for people for years who have won like different types of daytime awards and things of that nature. Even the hostess was like, well, you even dressed me. And she was like, yeah, girl. And mind you, while they're talking, you hear the other co-host being like, the verdict is in about Karen. And the way Vivian's eyes darted to the left, you could tell she was stressed out. You could tell that she was stressed out and trying to gain her composure because she wanted to see what was happening. But she basically said that Stacey is a liar, Stacey is a phony, Stacey is a fraud. But I feel like what people were saying in the comment sections were actually true, that Vivian is somebody that has status in DC and she's a well-known lady, because why is she on daytime television or on the news talking about this? Like, that lets you know that Vivian is known throughout the land to a certain extent in Potomac or the DC area, and Stacey made an enemy out of somebody she didn't have to. Like, I feel like there has to be more to this whole dress situation, because for Stacey to be like, F that B and she's dead to me off of her putting you in the same dress, which we find out, which I believe, Vivian, that you asked to be in that dress and you're just frustrated because you didn't look the part, is crazy to me. And also shows what type of person Stacey is. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how Stacey shows up next season, because it's definitely given that like the girls are going to be dragging Stacey through the mud, and I'm low-key kind of here for it. Okay, so moving on. So let's talk about Karen. Since I mentioned her sentencing, the audio has been released of the judge speaking to Karen and Karen making a statement. And I just want to play Karen making a statement. I don't really care what the judge has to say, because he let it be known, girl, you were filled to the gills with liquor. She was going to jail that day. But I do think we should hear her statement. So let me play it for you.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Ms. Hugo, is there anything you'd like to say before the court imposes its sentence?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll be happy to hear from you.
I prepared a statement. Didn't want to forget anything. Your Honor, I want to apologize for taking this case to trial, but I also want to thank you for allowing me to have the trial. I think it was the mirror I needed to take a hard look at myself and the direction I was headed in. I think my prior cases, I showed up to court, followed the advice of my lawyers, got the case resolved, and went my way. I like to think I took the cases seriously, but this certainly has been such a much different experience for me. An experience that demanded that I take a look at myself, truthfully. I think for many years I was putting a Band-Aid on some personal history that was leaving me very unhappy. It is possible that just like taking daily medication for high blood pressure and cholesterol, I just thought medication for depression and anxiety was something that came with the territory of getting older and having more responsibilities and more to worry about. And certainly there was a sense of entitlement that I should be allowed to keep on consuming alcohol. I have been successful. It's been 15 years since my last DUI. Why should I give up the social indulgence? Well, this case is why. Drinking responsibly, especially while taking medications, mean not drinking at all. I failed at that miserably. I understand how lucky I am that I hit a tree. Thank God I did not hit a pedestrian. In recovery, I was told of a young man named Kevin who hit a tree when he was 17 years old. Kevin was in a coma for 30 days. Kevin is now permanently brain damaged, and his life will never be the same. I asked God, why not me? The only answer I could come up with was that I was spared because I have a responsibility to use my unique optic lens and teach others, and affect quite possibly millions of people with the message of not drinking and driving. I understand better the brutal clarity of the fact that when you're behind a car driving, you're not just driving for yourself. It's my responsibility to make sure my community members make it to their destination safely as well. I want to thank the officers who came to my assistance that night and apologize for my attitude back on March 19th. They were truly professional and gracious toward me at a time when I was not. The body cameras definitely prove that they were right and I was wrong. I should have handled the situation differently. Your Honor, I have a lot on my plate now, but I understand this is all for a very good reason. I will not let you down. I will not let my community down. I will follow through on everything I am currently doing to maintain my sobriety and everything you order me to do.
So here's my thoughts about this. I'm glad that Karen apologized to the officers, because she was doing too much. And it does seem, even if this statement was written by, her lawyer or herself, it does seem like things are starting to set in, and the reality is like, girl, you really effed up. Like, your ego got the best of you, and you did walk into this trial with arrogance, and you have to be sat down for a year. And really learn a lesson. Now, I know a lot of people keep bringing up the plea deal, I haven't been able to find any information about what really was the plea deal. Some people say it was 60 days. I saw some people say that it was a month in jail. I've seen some people say it was 6 weeks in jail. I don't know. But this is coming from a Twitter user by the name of Chris Evans. And they took a screenshot from an article, but I can't find the article. So take this a rumor with no regard because I can't vet this, but this is what this person says. It says Karen Huger was offered a plea deal of 60 days in jail for her 4th DUI, and she decided to proceed with trial. Now she is sentenced to 2 years. Really, it's 1 year because they suspended one of the years. It says the prosecution initially sought 60 days in jail, but Karen chose to fight. Karen's lawyers had opted for a jury trial in hopes of receiving no jail time for the grand dam. Now she faces up to 2 years behind bars. Again, like I've been saying, anytime I talk about this, I don't want Karen to be in jail. I don't. But I understand that at this point, something had to happen in order for her to take the hint and really get the memo of like, girl, you can't do this. Like you can't. Like either you're going to hurt somebody or you're going to hurt yourself. And next time it might be fatal for both of you or just one person involved in the accident. But I'm hoping while Karen is in jail, she does get the help that she needs. A lot of the times, jail makes things worse. Prison makes things worse. People don't get rehabilitated. It's basically slave labor, to be honest. Like they don't really take the time to really help these people work through their issues and why they do bad things. It actually exacerbates them, and then we just release them back into society. But I'm hoping while she's in jail, this gives her the opportunity to sit down and really like figure out why she feels the need to drink. Like, is it because of what happened to her in college when she unfortunately was SA'd and she had to drop out of college? Is that when she started drinking? Is it because of the death of both of her parents being so close together? Like, maybe this will give her the opportunity to actually deal with those issues because she no longer can have the facade as I'm the grand dame and I have to show up for everybody. Now is the time that she actually sifts through her emotions and really figures out and pinpoints why does she feel the need to get inebriated to that point, as well as what's the need for you to be on antidepressants. Like, what is really the root cause of your depression? You know, like, is it just chronic depression, or is there something really wrong with you that you have not addressed that is causing you to be this way? So moving on, let's talk about some of the cast's reactions to the sentencing. So Giselle said this, Giselle is doing her 21 Shady Questions at the City Winery events. And this is what she said on Wednesday, the day of the verdict. She said, Giselle breaks her silence on Karen's sentencing at her 21 Shady Questions live at City Winery event tonight in NYC. She goes on to say, I am shook. This just happened today. I don't have her wigs. I'm concerned. In all seriousness, I'm concerned for Karen's safety. Karen ain't cut out for jail. She added, I pray that she's okay and that the Lord is with her. That is pretty much a Giselle response, but I do think Giselle means what she says, because even though Giselle and Karen go back and forth, I do think their frenemy relationship is more friends off camera than enemies when they're on camera. Next, let's talk about Miss Vivian. Okay. And Miss Vivian not even a part of the show, but the girls keep talking about her. So she said this on Instagram. She said, my dearest friend Karen, I pray that God will give you the strength to overcome this difficult time. George and I will provide the utmost support to Ray, Raven, and Brandon. Stay strong. This shall come to pass. I will always love you. So I'm glad that Vivian is showing up for Ray, Raven, and Brandon, because I did say when everything broke that I hope that her family, especially Ray, was surrounded by good people. And it definitely seems like Vivian and her husband, George, are definitely going to be looking out for Ray and Karen. So then Kiarna posted a picture of last season's reunion, season 8, where she said this in her Insta story. And in this too, God will have his hand on you. So she sent love to Karen as well. So we also got clips of Ashley and Wendy. So being asked about how they feel about the sentencing. So let me play the first clip, which is of Ashley on the Tamron Hall show.
Before we talk about the divorce, I do want to ask you about Karen Huger.
Yes.
You both started. You were the original part of the original cast members of the show, and Karen was just sentenced to 1 year in jail for the 2024 DUI arrest. She had a 2-year sentence, 1 year in jail, 1 year was suspended. You've been friends, you've gone through ups and downs. You were there the very first season of this. I know you spoke briefly about it on the reunion show. What's your reaction?
I really do encourage everyone to keep Karen in your prayers. I really care about her. And I learned this on the train coming here today, and I cried like a baby. I did.
I'll be honest, when I saw this originally, I rolled my eyes because I was like, yeah, right, Ashley, you was crying on the train here. But then when I really thought about it, I was like Tamron Hall said, they all came in together. So there is always this level of camaraderie between the OGs that they have stayed solid between each other. They may not like each other, but they understand one another and what they bring to this show. And I was like, well, maybe Ashley was crying because it definitely seems like they're going to continue filming without Karen. Is she worried about where the show is going to go? Or maybe she really is worried about Karen, because you can joke all day long about someone going to jail and getting locked up, but then when it actually happens, you are kind of thrown off where you're like, oh crap, they really going to jail? And that might be like a shocking thing for her, because I know I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, she really going to jail. But the next person I'm going to talk about is Wendy. Wendy, and I think Ashley, Giselle, and a few of the other housewives, mainly the Real Housewives of Atlanta, were at Essence Black Women in Hollywood event, and Wendy was on the red carpet and she was asked how does she feel about Karen's sentencing. So let me play that clip for you guys.
The news yesterday, 1 year. Have you ladies been talking? How's she doing?
I have not spoken to her. She was taken into custody right after the sentencing, so there was no time for communication. But she continues to be in my prayers. This is, I'm sure, a difficult time, not just for her, but for her family. So all I can do is just uplift her in prayer and wish her the best during this time.
So I actually thought Wendy's response was very diplomatic, seeing as a lot of people felt like Wendy should have shaded Karen. But if Ashley didn't shade Karen, then I knew Wendy wasn't going to shade Karen. I think they're all pretty in shock at the fact that she is actually going to be in jail for the next year. And I would be too. So moving on. Y'all know, as I've been covering this whole situation, I've been wondering if they were going to keep filming without Karen, and it looks like they are. So this was reported by People magazine. It says the Real Housewives of Potomac season 10 filming will proceed without Karen amid prison sentence. It says cameras are expected to pick up on Bravo's show next installment at the end of March, an insider tells People. It says the Real Housewives of New Jersey may have famously paused filming while Teresa Giudice served her 11th month prison sentence for bank mail, wire, and bankruptcy fraud. But the Real Housewives of Potomac won't do that for Karen Huger, who was on Wednesday, February the 26th, was officially sentenced to 2 years in prison with 1 year suspended for her fourth DUI conviction. It says a source tells People that production on the Bravo reality show will proceed with its upcoming 10th season as Huger is behind bars. Cameras are expected to pick up officially at the end of March, the insider says. That doesn't mean she's being kicked off the show. Huger, 61, could still return in the future, according to sources, especially if her sentence is reduced. She has 30 days to appeal the judge's decision, 90 days to ask the judge to reduce her sentence. Bravo, when reached by People, would not confirm filming on season 10. The network also famously does not comment on casting. A rep of Huger did not respond to People's request for comment. So I'm not surprised that they're going to continue to film without Karen, mainly because Potomac is like broccoli, potato, cheddar soup. Everybody needs to play their part for it to be good. And to me, Karen is the potato, Giselle is the broccoli. And then everybody else mixed in there, like the onions and all of that stuff, and the base is the rest of the cast. Taking out Karen, who's the potato, you still have broccoli, cheddar soup, and it's still good. You know, if you take Giselle out, you take the broccoli out, you still have potato cheddar soup and it's still good. But all together, it's delicious. And I feel like without Karen, and if they are truly going to start filming in at the end of March, everyone's gonna have to step up. That means nobody can coast, in my opinion. That means Kiarna's gonna have to step up and actually play her role. Or girl, just tell them to demote you back to a friend and keep it pushing. Jazzy, she's gonna have to step up if she comes back and maintain the same energy she had at the beginning of the season. If Jacqueline and Mia come back, I no longer want to hear about you two being scissor sisters. I don't like, it needs to be something more. Mia's going to have to try to redeem herself in the fan and in the women's eyes on top of that. Giselle and Ashley and Wendy can no longer coast anymore. Like, y'all gonna have to really like step it up without Karen. And I don't think it's impossible for them to be entertaining, but I definitely think it's going to be difficult to a certain extent, especially if they don't add anybody. Stacey needs to drop the Valley Girls situation and actually be Stacey from Detroit. But I do feel like they can succeed without Karen. But I also feel like Karen's coming back once she get out of jail. Like, I can definitely see like the trailer for season 11 opening up with Karen walking out of the jailhouse, or a black, all black, what's it called? Suburban pulling up to her house, and she gets in the car with Giselle and they start kikiing and giggling and they heading on to the next cast event because nobody knows she about to pop out. I can see that happen. But that's all I got for y'all. So as always, remember to be bravely authentic. Definitely hop down in them comments below, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. And again, hop down in them comments below and share your thoughts with me. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.